Falmouth Community Television's coverage of town meeting is sponsored by the following corporate underwriters.
Welcome to the Falmouth Chamber of Commerce.
The Falmouth Chamber is dedicated to working on behalf of our members to make Falmouth a better place to live, work, and conduct business. We are committed to developing the economic, cultural, educational, and civic interests of our community and welcome the support from all organizations to achieve our combined goals. Whether you call Falmouth home, are a summer resident, or a visitor, we hope you take advantage of all that the Chamber has to offer.
CARLSON Printing for all your printing needs. 508-548-7303 or toll free at 1-800-696-7303. Our email address is carlsonprinting@aol.com. CARLSON Printing for all your printing needs.
Hosting services for FCTV.org are provided by MegaNet Communications. MegaNet offers a wide array of internet services including Mega Backup Cloud Service, server co-location, T1, fiber, Metro Ethernet, as well as telephone services such as hosted PBX and digital voice. Their number one goal is to keep your communications network up and running and allow you to focus on growing your business. 877-634-2638 or meganet.net. Additional funding and support provided by the following corporate sponsors.
Barrett Plumbing and Heating offers expert plumbing, heating, and air conditioning services to all our residential and commercial customers on Cape Cod and surrounding area. We are a full-service plumbing specialist offering professional workmanship to suit your budget. Whatever your heating or plumbing need, you can always count on a job that's done right.
Dogs and Hogs, family owned and operated for over 5 years. Our slow smoke barbecue is available for dine-in, pickup, or catering, now featuring our homemade barbecue sauce. We also serve beer and wine, have gluten-free options, and lobster rolls.
RJ's Variety and Liquor, family owned and operated for 15 years. We have a variety of beer, wine, and liquor, local frozen stuffed quahogs, local frozen pizza snacks, and more. RJ's Variety and Liquor, 174 Sandwich Road, T-Ticket. The attorneys at Oppenheim & Nickerson, LLP, have provided legal services in Falmouth for over 36 years. We advocate for our clients and work to provide quality representation in the areas of business and corporate law, real estate law, estate planning, and estate administration. 508-548-8255.
We at Falmouth Fish believe there is nothing better than a fresh piece of fish, direct from the waters of Cape Cod in New England. Nothing beats waking up at 4 a.m. to search out the highest quality seafood from the best fishermen in the world.
7 Stars Academy, offering martial arts and Tai Chi. Training at 7 Stars Academy can transform your life. It's amazing to see the positive impact it has on our students. Classes for adults and children of all ages. Confidence, not conflict, at 7 Stars Academy of Martial Arts.
Hamilton Tree and Landscaping has been proudly serving Falmouth and the Upper Cape since 1978. Located on Route 151, we're available for all landscaping and tree concerns. Appreciating your property is our motto as we continue to keep your tree and landscaping needs our top priority. At A&A Paving, we believe in providing customers with quality products supported by excellent service. We provide commercial and residential seal coating, asphalt paving, and repair services for Cape Cod and southeastern Mass. A&A Paving, 508-540-4944.
Calfee Insurance, offering insurance policies for your car, home, business, life, and disability. Calfee cares about all your insurance needs. 508-540-2601 and online at calfeeinsurance.com.
Thomas J. Bunker and Jeffrey E. Reither are BSS Design, providing land surveying and civil engineering in Falmouth since 1987. Licensed and fully insured, they're located on Catherine Lee Bates Road, and their phone number is 540-8805.
Wild Harbor General Store, located in historic North Falmouth Village, providing quality goods and services for 170 years. Continuing to make history with our support of FCTV's coverage of Falmouth Town Meeting.
Liam McGuire's Irish Pub. With a newly renovated dining room, it's what an Irish pub should be. Main Street, downtown Falmouth. Bayside Kitchen and Bath at 419 Palmer Avenue in Falmouth, where design and installation professionals work closely with homeowners, architects, and builders, offering a full range of cabinetry, countertops, and faucets. Bayside Kitchen and Bath, returning you to beautiful spaces.
Eastman's has been Falmouth's hardware store since 1913. With a newly added retail space providing kitchen accessory and gourmet foods, our friendly staff is available to assist you with your hardware and kitchen needs. 508-540-0407.
Carpet Barn, Carpet One Home Showcase, a local family-owned business offering all your premier carpet and flooring needs. They also feature tile and vinyl floors, area rugs, window treatments, and kitchen and bathroom cabinetry, serving you at 4 convenient locations. Cavosa Disposal is proud to provide trash removal, recycling, and composting to local businesses in Falmouth and surrounding communities. Cavosa Disposal would like to thank its customers in Falmouth. Cavosa Disposal, 508-563-5070. Family owned since 1919, at Puritan Cape Cod you'll find the latest in men's and women's clothing, as well as ski and tennis equipment and much more. Located on Main Street, Falmouth, and in Chatham, Mashpee, and Hyannis. Puritan Cape Cod, 199 Main Street, Falmouth, and online at puritanCapeCod.com.
FCTV is also supported by the following businesses and organizations.
Nobska Lighthouse and Maritime Museum, friendsofnobska.org. Falmouth EDIC, Economic Development and Industrial Corporation, 508-548-7440. Partners Technology, Voice and Data Solutions, 781-930-5000. Wacoit Congregational Church, 508-548-5269. Annie Hartcool, Global Real Estate Advisor, Sotheby's International Realty, 508-868-0664. St. Elizabeth Seton Church, 508-563-7770. Vincent Associates, 548-6500. Turning Point Dance Studio presents the Sea Captain's Nutcracker at Tilden Arts Center in Barnstable. Soares Flower Garden Nursery, 508-548-5288. M. Duffany Builders, 508-540-3625. Cranberry Nail Spa, 508-495-9999. Neighborhood Falmouth, 508-564-7543. Danny's Barbershop, 508-548-6013. Carl F. Cavosa Excavating, 508-563-5530. Paul's Precision Automotive Repair, 464 Main Street, 508-548-3164. David Rogers Electric, Residential, commercial, industrial, TV studio, and motion picture. 508-564-7507. Murray & McDonald's Insurance. 800-800-8990. The Davy Tree Expert Company. 508-548-2662. Andy's Barber Shop in the Falmouth Plaza. Chapman Cole & Gleason, 508-540-4172. Hanush Jewelers, downtown Falmouth, 508-548-9107. Mahoney's Garden Center, 508-548-4842. The Cape Cod 5 at 508-457-5252, capecod5.com. The Cooperative Bank of Cape Cod, 508-495-5010. Martha's Vineyard Savings Bank, 508-627-4266. VIPS of Falmouth Volunteers in Public Schools, 508-548-1621. Cape Cod Cleaning, 508-563-7622. Steve's Pizzeria and More, 508-457-9454. FCTV also thanks Roach Brothers, Stop and Shop, and Windfall Market.
All town meeting members present, please come forward. Make sure you have checked in and you have your electronic voting device so that we can establish a quorum for the annual town meeting. Last night, it appears that someone left a pair of glasses in the auditorium and a cell phone. It's an iPhone, so if anybody left your cell phone here tonight, oh, I'm told these are Mr. Alves' glasses. Is he here? Is he here tonight? No?
David, there's also a Jeep with its lights on. Jeep Renegade. It's Jeep Renegade with like a something pop sticker on the back.
If you're the owner of a Jeep Renegade, your lights are on out in the parking lot. We don't have the plate number though.
It has a something, some pop sticker on the back. I don't know.
So Jeep Renegade lights are on in the parking lot. No. I was told they're Mr. Alves. Okay, for those of you that may have reading glasses with you, if you hooked them on your lanyard, make sure you take them off your lanyard before you put the lanyards in the box tonight, because we found some glasses in the box attached to lanyards, so, and a necklace the first night. So I don't think that was mine, but okay, we're going to queue up a slide here for the quorum count. Okay, quorum slide. All town meeting members present, please press 1. I'm what brings it up to 124. Actually, Dylan is what brings it up to ex officio. All town meeting members present, please press 1. A. By a counted vote of 163 members, we have a quorum, and I call the annual town meeting back into session. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. This time I'll recognize Dr. Antonucci for an invocation.
Let us pray. O God, creator of us all, we ask your blessing on this town meeting. Let each one of us here this evening recognize our differences and our similarities. Let us listen to each other thoughtfully and guide us to vote on the issues before us with an open mind. We ask you to watch over our words and our debates so that the result of our meeting will be beneficial to all. Amen.
Okay, we're going to start on Article 26 tonight.
Mr. Moderator?
Ms. Valiel?
Mr. Moderator, I would like to ask for reconsideration of Article 15. This is the zoning article that extended accessory apartments to general residence districts that was last night. Only 2 people were able to speak on that article before the question was called. There are many people who are concerned about it, particularly in Precinct 2, where most of the general residence is. And I think there may be a conflict between the accessory bylaw and the stipulations that are in the general residence bylaw itself, which is already on the books. So for those reasons, I would like to ask you to consider letting town meeting vote on reconsideration.
Okay. So when I first came in, Ms. Valiel mentioned this issue to me, and without having my fingers on or the time to look at the details of the existing zoning bylaw and the change to the zoning bylaw, I can't make a really good determination if there is that inherent conflict in the document. So therefore, it would be substantially new information which we can delve into if we reconsider the article. And so I'll allow town meeting to take the vote to motion, the motion to reconsider Article 15. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? No. Opinion of the chair is that the ayes have it, and we'll reconsider Article 15. So I need a main motion from the planning board. Let me get back to 15. Yeah, main motion from the planning board, please.
Mr.
Mr. Chairman, the motion of the Planning Board is as printed.
As printed. Okay, Ms. Valiala.
Mary Barry of Precinct 2, who's the co-captain of Precinct 2, had a prepared statement that she would like to present to town meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mary Barry, Precinct 2. At Springtown meeting, the Planning Board explained non-inclusion of GR districts in the accessory apartment bylaw by saying that it was an oversight that needed to be corrected. On the contrary, I believe it was a conscious decision. Secondly, in the explanation for this article, it says last spring we indefinitely postponed. It was voted down. It wasn't indefinitely postponed. The current
Ms. Barry, just to clarify, when we take a no vote on an article, the force of that vote is an indefinite postponement.
Okay.
Just so that we don't confuse town meeting members. Okay.
Thank you for that. The current GR bylaw allows greater density than any other residential district in Falmouth. Up to 3 units are allowed. One of those must be affordable. If Article 15 is approved, it adds a 4th unit, and it would eliminate the requirement that it be affordable. Affordable housing is clearly a critical need in Falmouth. And once there are 4 units on a property, we are now opening up properties in GR zoning to be turned into condominiums. Also keep in mind, adding 1 additional unit does not necessarily mean adding 1 person. The accessory apartment bylaw does not restrict the number of people that can reside in a unit. If this law is passed, 4 units on a single property could equate to many more than 4 individuals. The GR districts already allow more housing options than any other residential district in Falmouth. The GR district should not be required to shoulder more density on traditionally smaller lots. The largest area of GR zoning is in the downtown area. One is just off of Main Street. It's parallel to Main Street, and it's an area with very small lots, greater density compared to other residential areas and districts. This neighborhood is not sewered. This neighborhood is of old housing stock, and cesspools are common. The neighborhood is also in the Falmouth Inner Harbor Coastal Overlay Area. These facts all suggest caution be used in any changes in zoning. The Planning Board offered no evidence showing such a significant change would benefit the town's housing needs, and no support showing that it will not cause an undue burden on GR homeowners and the environment. And a point of fact is that this GR zoning is in 6 districts. We did not have included in our warrants maps of where these are even located. It wasn't part of what was addressed or brought out by the Planning Board. Because current GR zoning bylaws already provide a lot of tremendous flexibility for additional housing in these neighborhoods, I get the distinct impression that Article 15 is being brought forward to meet a very specific want of particular individuals, and in fact, a particular individual, as we learned last night. It is not intended to meet the greater housing needs of Falmouth. Precinct 2 has the largest neighborhood area zoned GR. I have been contacted by a
Ms. Barry,
large...
we've hit the time limit.
All right.
Further discussion on Article 15. Ms. Johnson? With the microphone, please. We don't have mic carriers? Uh-oh. Maybe I'll do it. We gotta get a walk around and run the meeting. It's like theater in the round, right?
Patricia Johnson, Precinct 5. I would like to have a map, a zoning map put up on the projector. I find it extremely difficult to read that map on the town website because there are yellow contrasts between the various yellow zoning districts is not very clear. So I need a bigger map maybe and make sure that they point out the areas of GR.
Okay, further discussion? Mr. Walker? Yeah.
Grant Walker, Precinct 3. I yield my time to the lady who was reading a prepared statement.
We don't have a practice of yielding time, but she could get up for another 2 minutes as a second time speaking. So we can do that. Do you want to do that? Yeah, do your second. Yeah. This is why I was not a proponent in the Rules Committee of time limits, because we haven't shortened town meetings since we've had time limits. It's like flying a 747 up here, trying to go back and forth between these two things, and we get caught like this. So go ahead, Ms. Barry.
Okay, I'll try to talk faster. So Precinct 2 has the largest neighborhood areas that are zoned GR. I've been contacted by a large number of residents voicing their adamant disapproval of this article. As a matter of fact, most of them didn't even know that this was going to take place, and they live in the GR district. Their objections include this would increase density over 25% and beyond what is reasonable to be handled. It would have an extremely negative impact on the environment. 3, current zoning is more than adequate and flexible. And 4, they don't want condominium conversions. In summary, GR zoning already meets the purpose stated in the accessory bylaws by providing 3 multifamily units, 4 boarders in a single-family dwelling, and semi-detached and 2 family dwellings. GR districts already provide a range of housing choices in Falmouth. By increasing the number of small dwelling units, it encourages greater diversity in population with particular attention to young adults and aging-in-place options for our seniors. And it provides currently affordable housing. So I hope that you listened last evening and heard Mr. Ament say that his client, and he said this, has an illegal apartment. And he wants this passed in order to make it legal. The message here is build an illegal apartment, hire a lawyer, and propose an article that will make it legal. Thank you for your time, and I hope you will vote no again.
Ms. Lichtenstein?
Leslie Lichtenstein, Precinct 8. just as a point of information, I spoke on this article in the Springtown meeting, and I specifically asked for a map. I think maybe if people bring back an article and they've been asked for a map, maybe we shouldn't think about it until they give us a map. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Feynman Silva?
Sandra Feynman Silva, Precinct 2. I am not terribly familiar with what the General Residence District provides, but can somebody give us some information about what in the accessory apartment bylaw would we lose if it were not applied to the General Residence District? I like the idea. I live in a downtown. My lot is not that small. It's almost a half acre, and it's right downtown. And I like the idea of having an accessory apartment, possibly to live in as I age, and for income generation. And I like the idea of a detached accessory apartment. Are these all permitted in the General Residence District? And if not, what would we lose, those of us who live in that district, if we were to vote no on this, this bylaw?
Yeah. Do you want to mention this?
Mr. Moderator, town meeting. I'm Town Bot. I'm the town planner here in Falmouth, Mass. And as you may know, I've been here since April, and I'm not fully up to speed with our zoning bylaw, but I do have what is permitted in the general residence districts. Those are permitted by use. You come in and get a building permit from the building department, one family detached and semi-detached and two-family dwellings. Interesting enough, a semi-detached dwelling is not something you can make a second dwelling for. A semi-detached dwelling is something you built originally as two structures. It's very difficult for me to tell what the difference is between a semi-detached and a two-family, but essentially a semi-detached is something that you built two units with a common firewall prior to. Those other permitted uses in the general residence districts include churches, schools, public libraries, parks, playgrounds. If you get a special permit or other permitted uses, agriculture, piers, and multifamily where there is no more than 3 units, if one of those 3 units is unaffordable. And then for a special permit, you can do these commercial accommodations, the conversion of an existing dwelling, hospitals, sanatoriums, private clubs, offices, roadside stands, garage spaces, home occupations, scientific research, and there are some other accessory uses as well. But essentially, the requirements of the newly adopted accessory housing bylaw is that it has to have a minimum 7,500 square feet. So any lot that's in the general residence district is not 7,500 square feet, would not be available to create an attached dwelling unit. In addition, you have to have setbacks from the property, so the smaller the property, the more difficult it is to set those things on place. So that is what's allowed in the general residence districts. There is a limitation on the lot size, so if your lot is smaller than 7,500 square feet, and many of the lots in the downtown areas are smaller than those, then they would not, under the current bylaw, be allowed to apply for an accessory housing unit. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Putnam.
Rebecca Putnam, Precinct 9. I just want to say one thing. I'm very disappointed in the planning board. They brought to us an article, asked us to vote on it as printed, and come back a second night and ask us to revote this. That's very disappointing.
No, town meeting moved reconsideration. The planning board didn't ask for that.
Well, we have a planning board member up speaking against the article that was asked to be as printed. She's asking us to vote it down after we passed it.
Who are you referring to on the planning board?
Is she not planning board?
No.
I thought she was on the planning board. I apologize
No.
then. I apologize. If the fact that this has been brought to us, planning board vetted it, planning board actually went through and created this accessory bylaw, would they not have thought that a general residence would have been a bad place to put this in effect? Whether we have an extra unit does not mean that somebody is not going to necessarily rent it to somebody who needs an affordable rental. People can only afford what they can afford to rent in this town. So just because somebody built something and would like to add an extra unit out of 3 and add a 4th unit, that might just go to somebody who is in workforce, who could walk to work downtown. The other issue too is, we're hearing statements of, well, it's in a coastal overlay district. Well, if anyone is very familiar with that, coastal overlay districts only allow you so many bedrooms per square footage of lot coverage. So they would either have to upgrade their septic system, because they're going to have to get a building permit, and in order to get a building permit, you have to go through the Board of Health, and the Board of Health has to approve whatever system is there. So I would say that we really need to keep it as we voted it last night. And I apologize, I'm having trouble hearing because I have vertigo as well.
Okay, this center section, do we have a, oh, he's doing the mics. Thanks, Peter. Yeah, right here in the center.
Charlotte Harris, Precinct 5, and the Planning Board. It could be that the person who rose to give the prepared statement is correct, and the town meeting will decide that. But I would like to answer the question that Sandy asked: what would the general residence district people lose if you reverse the vote? They would lose the opportunity to propose one of these units, is what you would lose. And it really gives me an opportunity to put in a pitch for the accessory apartment bylaw. The accessory apartment bylaw is new. We're all getting used to it. It's long. It takes a while to figure out all of its pieces. But a very important piece of it is that it requires a design review. You're going to have a site plan review. And the site plan review isn't an answer, it's a process, as Mrs. Lowell had said the first night that we met. And the process involves, for those of you who might not have been through it, is it has to go through all of the departments that are involved in building any kind of a structure. So it goes to the health department, it goes to the safety department, it goes to the wastewater department. Everyone who might have a concern about any kind of new piece of construction, they have to check off, and the planning board receives a checklist to say, yes, this is okay by us, or oops, issues, so that we're alerted to that. At that point, the planning board's role is to call a public hearing so that the issues that were brought forward that may be true for some, even many of the pieces of land in general residence, would come to light during that public hearing process, so that the individuals who feel they'd be adversely affected have been notified, the abutters are notified, people have a chance to speak on it, so that it may or may not then go forward with the blessing of the planning department. Even then, it can be appealed to zoning. So it's really an opportunity loss, but it's not anyone, if you were to decide to keep the general residence open for accessory apartments, that's the first step for someone in general residency having one. It is not a by right thing that they acquire.
Okay, let's see, next on the list is Ms. Lowell. Add to the list.
Vicki Lowell, Precinct 1. Right now, in 2012, the town meeting voted to allow an accessory apartment in general residence, would be a third unit if it was affordable. Now, by giving the ability to have a third unit on general residence, there's now no guarantee that it will be affordable. It could be affordable. It has to be a relatively small unit, but it won't be tied to affordability. Whereas now, if someone put in a third unit and it was affordable, it would count toward the town's affordable housing inventory. So that's the difference. And now they're both going to be on the books. They're both going to be by right. So I think we should put, I'm not sure that which one would take precedence, but we did have the commitment to try to, if we were going to have the greater density in general residence, that it would be affordable. Now by having voted for Article 15, we've taken away that requirement that the third unit be affordable.
I haven't read the entire Chapter 240 either, so I'm trying to get some clarification here. So thank you, Mr. Bott, for that clarity. My next speaker is Mr. Turkington.
Eric Turkington, Precinct 1. I have a process problem with this article. It came to us by petition of Kevin Clower, the attorney, and presented by Bob Ament, the attorney, on behalf of a client who has a problem. We never found out who the client was or exactly what his problem was. But they want to change the town bylaw for everybody who owns property in general residence. That is not the way to do business. We've heard from the people in Precinct 2 where most of the general residence is, and they don't like this change. I think we should support them.
Ms. Thorold? Ms. Thorold? No. All set? Okay, the center back, yeah.
Joe LeMay, Precinct 9, member of the Affordable Housing Committee. The affordable housing, the accessory dwelling unit bylaw allows you to add an accessory apartment to a single family house. It does not let you add a third apartment to something that already has 2 units. So your issue there is...
Whoa, let's do microphones and be recognized, please.
General residence today can have 3 units, or it can have 1 unit, okay? You can't have a single-family house and a detached accessory apartment in a general residence. Okay, that's as much clear as I can add to that.
Ms. Lowell, do you want to?
Vicki Lowell, Precinct 1. Under Section 240-26C, this language is, and this is permitted uses by right. Multifamily use of, this is for general residence districts, multifamily use of no more than 3 units if at least 1 unit is affordable as defined. And that was voted in April 2012 town meeting.
Okay, anyone else on this article? Yep, Mr. Donald.
Malcolm Donald, Precinct 6. I too was contacted by a resident of this general residence district, Leslie McDonald, and she's concerned about the water mains being able to handle the possible increased density. Thanks.
Okay, Ms. Fenwick. And then Mr. Buessler.
I'm hoping we could take the big picture. Let's take Precinct 2, where we're told that the majority of general residence is. Approximately how many units of affordable housing would we lose if we vote Article 15? Can anybody come up with, quantify some number? Because that's what is at the crux of this, is if you vote Article 15, we lose the possibility for a lot of affordable housing stock.
Okay, it'd be hard to project what everyone in that district wants to do with their private property, so hard to come up with a hard number on it. Any other discussion? Yeah, Mr. Buessler, and then Mr. Callahan.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Ken Bissler, Precinct 2. I'm pleased we've been able to have this discussion. I felt yesterday and today I'm still a bit confused by the impact of this single petition article, maybe motivated by one case, on the rest of the town. There were no maps. They've been flashed by. There's one of them. My understanding, there's like 6 areas where we have these zoning. So questions I would like to know really before I vote, and I don't think I'm going to get them, is just how many lots are in these districts? How many are in coastal overlay zones of those lots? How many are in historic districts? I don't know where those maps lie. So what other restrictions do we have? And this last question, you know, what happens to our stock of affordable housing? It sounds like we'll just have more density in some areas that already have higher density allowed, and the people in those areas aren't very happy with this. So I kind of agree with some of the other ones that we don't have a lot of information, and it sounds like this is not the way forward for this one lot, one case that's being put forward under this general petition article. So I can't vote for it until I have answers to those.
Okay, Mr. Callahan.
Thank you. Jim Callahan, Precinct 5. I'm just curious, how is this particular, in this particular instance, someone just went ahead and built an accessory or built a building, and we hear about all the processes and the going through the health department and the building department and the permits, et cetera, et cetera. How did this happen in an area where you got neighbors and no one seemed to be watching or paying attention? I'm just curious, how did, we have a process, and it obviously was not done for this particular illegal structure.
Mr. Jones.
Doug Jones, Precinct 1. Particularly in Precinct 2, there are quite a few lots where there are 2 domiciles on the lot that were built before the bylaw was put in effect, saying you could only have 1 house per lot. And so this is an attempt to try to get some of those to be made into legally usable houses, where you do have 2 houses that have been put on 1 lot and trying to make them both legal.
Okay, any further discussion? Ms. Lichtenstein?
Clarification, if we pass a bylaw, is that retroactive? I didn't think we could make something illegal that was already existing and legal.
So they were pre-existing non-conforming, right? They're not pre-existing non-conforming. Ms. Lichtenstein and then Ms. Feynman Silva. Oh, no, you just spoke. I didn't check you. I'm sorry. I didn't. Frank, do you want to clarify the fact that these things were built before this bylaw?
Well, the suggestion was made by the gentleman over there that perhaps these buildings may have been built without permits recently, but they're probably very old and were built before the zoning bylaw, so that's not really the question.
Whoa, 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 whoa. With the microphone, don't yell.
If we pass a bylaw, does that retroactively make things which were legal illegal?
No.
Okay, so if they were legal before the bylaw, that means after the bylaw passes, they're not illegal because of that bylaw.
No, that they're trying to control the use of the property, not the legality of it.
So when you add this to the bylaw, folks in these districts that don't have an accessory apartment on a lot could potentially go through the process to build an accessory apartment on the lot. But those accessory apartments that already exist on a lot and existed prior to the other zoning bifurcation were technically illegal, but they're pre-existing non-conforming. So you pass this, they're legal, and it allows general residence districts to have this section within the bylaw going forward. Okay, so it doesn't make them illegal. They are now pre-existing non-conforming. Ms. Feynman Silva.
Thank you. Sandra Feynman Silva, Precinct 2. I just wanted to make a couple of points. One is that our discussion last evening or in the first night about the accessory apartment bylaw seemed to emphasize that this would allow middle income and working people to have access to more housing. And it would also allow for elders who maybe cannot afford to keep a single family dwelling to have added income, thereby contributing to affordable housing, even though it's not officially under the umbrella of affordable housing permitting. These would be affordable dwellings. Second, in this district, downtown, if we had an accessory apartment that we wanted to have permitted, we would upgrade our septic system, which would contribute a positive effect with respect to the problem of sewage. And I think that both of these are beneficial effects. I do not feel that it's appropriate for us to deny access to the affordable housing, to the accessory apartments in this downtown district. I think that you're misrepresenting many of the parts of this district downtown. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Mr. Brown.
Hi, Douglas Brown. I was formerly on the planning board when this was developed. I believe this was developed for single-family residents on one house on a lot. And now to apply it to a place where there's more than one residence, I don't think the bylaw is crafted for that. So I think if we were to let 15 stand, we would have to add some language that would clarify that it would be only allowed on a property that has only one residence at the time. So maybe, I don't know if I don't think I want to make an amendment, but I think if it were to pass, it would need something like that.
Okay, so other sections of the bylaw are not subject to the amendment because they were not posted, so we can only talk about this section. Mr. Hargraves?
Peter Hargraves, Precinct 9, and I'm just speaking to balance the input because there's been a lot said in favor of reversing what we voted last night. But listening to the arguments, I think the reconsideration is good in affirming the reason we passed this. And when you consider the greater good of the town, having the availability of accessory apartments and the purpose and conditions to control them seems like it's an adequate protection. I would suggest that, as in anything like this, some of the western precincts may have a parochial interest in controlling their neighborhoods, but passing this is in the best interest of the whole town of Falmouth.
Okay. Mr. Clark? I see a hand way in the back there.
Hello, Peter Clark, Precinct 1. This is about, I think, the third or fourth instance in our town meeting right now, over the last 3 nights, when something has come up in which we are saying, it's okay, but it would be better if, or it might have this problem, or it might, or it might, or it might. And I, in those instances, find myself in favor of moving assertively and making the correction afterward, rather than moving negatively and holding everything up and waiting for someone to go back again and make a correction and bring it back. And so here in this instance, as in some others, I would favor staying with what we voted. And if there are bad side effects, give the planning board time to come back the next and say, here's some corrections we need to make. So I tend to stand prepared with my vote last night. Thank you.
Okay, I see a hand behind Ms. Azendorf. You're literally right behind her. I can't see who's there. I just see a hand. There we go.
Pam Filoni, Precinct 5. I'm afraid that people who've just spoken are confused. We did pass Article 14, the accessory apartment bylaw. And what we're reconsidering is Article 15, which, and they're confusing the 2 articles. 14 is the one that provides the affordable housing, and it's not going to be taken away by voting no on Article 15.
Okay, Article 15 is dealing with the general residence districts and accessory apartments. Mr. Hargraves?
For the record, I'd like to correct that I was commenting on Article 15, which would allow the accessory apartment bylaw to be applied to general residence district. I am not confused. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Shepherd?
Susan Shepherd, Precinct 1. I think Doug Brown made a very good point. And I think there's enough confusion about this article and what's allowed there by right and what isn't, that we ought to define that and bring it back through the planning board, not as a petition article on behalf of a single individual. Thank you. Vote no.
Okay, Ms. Peterson?
Laura Peterson, Precinct 3. I just want to say that I'm not confused, and I wasn't confused last night. And to me, what this is it makes it all more consistent. And the only new information I've heard is that there's one person who's going to do something that I don't want in my neighborhood. And that's, to me, that's not new information. And that's why I moved the question last night, and that's why I'm standing up to speak right now, because I'm not confused. I have the information that I need, and I can't. I've already said what I had to say. Thank you.
Okay, we ready for the question? We got one more? Yep.
Sarah Long, Precinct 7. I encourage everybody to actually read the article, and I don't know your name, sir, far left, who just spoke, Selectman Brown. You're right. There's a lot of restrictions here, and we voted a very restrictive Article 14 last night. It had a lot of checks and balances. If you read this, it will add accessory apartments subject to the same definitions, requirements, and design standards of the one we changed last night. In other words, it would be single residence houses if you read it. So I just encourage everybody to read it. If it's the same definition, then go back and read 14. 14 says a single residence. I don't think this is Armageddon or the apocalypse. I think it's actually going to be pretty restrictive and isn't going to let anybody do much at all in those general residence districts.
Okay, Ms. Vogel.
My concern with this article is that it seems to me that we are adding an accessory apartment right to a zone that already has 3-family right. So if that means 4, which I think is what Mr. Ahmet was proposing, he was going to make the existing house the accessory apartment and do 3 units behind, that what this article might actually be doing is making it possible for there to be 4 units. And if that's the case, then I would be very much opposed to it, and it would not be a consistency across the town, because it seems like general residency with the 3-family already sort of has an accessory apartment by right, because they can have a 3-family. That makes sense.
Okay, Ms. Moran.
I just want to get back to something Dr. Clark said, and the fact that, things don't have to be perfect. We can pass them as an idea and then tweak them later. I take a different view, because I think that there can be unintended consequences that hurt people when that happens. And in this town meeting in particular, I feel that we have, many issues that still have a lot of questions on town meeting floor. And that makes me very uncomfortable, because I think that town meeting members have worked very hard to learn the issues, and that it's the obligation of the proponents, of the staff, of the selectmen, of the boards, to be sure the questions are answered the best they can, not perfectly, no guarantees, but I'm really seeing a trend that more homework needs to be done, and this is one of those articles that I think more homework needs to be done.
Okay, Mr. Netto.
After 3 nights of planning board articles and discussion, I'd like to move this question, please.
Okay, we have a motion to close discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. And the chairs that the ayes have it by the 2/3, and I so declare. The question now comes on the main motion, Article 15 as printed. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. It's been to the chairs that the noes have it by a majority, and there's no 2/3. All right, Article 26. It's a petitioner's article. Mr. Scherer?
I would ask for reconsideration of Article 23. It is only 2 words, and it will take us just a second. I think it will save some time in the future.
Which number was it, Dan? 23?
23.
23. Okay. So, Mr. Scherer, right as I was coming up, asked me about reconsideration. We didn't have time to talk about it in detail, but he brought up the point that the bylaw, the way it's written, bans these float devices that moorings are made out of, because some of them are made with these products, and insulation that construction firms use in houses. So based on that information, he wanted to see if town meeting wanted to reconsider this article to make in the exemptions section an exemption for the marine and construction industries. So the question will come on whether or not to open up for reconsideration Article 23. All those in favor of reconsideration signify by saying aye. Aye. All those, what? Show me where the exemption is. What section? Yep, let's get him a microphone. Huh? Because a series of attorneys looked at it today and says it does, so. Yeah. Well, in that section, but let's see if that's what he's going to justify it under. Because he's got an exemption section. There's an exemption section, and I don't see it listed there. Yeah. And then there's exemptions, and those things are not exempted. So it is. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's why I'm asking him where he finds it. Okay, I'm going to go with the word of the attorney that it's not banned. All those in favor of reconsideration signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Oh, boy. Let's do a slide. What's that? Yes, this bans it. So he wants to offer language to exempt construction in marine trades. So here's the question on reconsideration. One is to open up to reconsider it, and two is to not reconsider it. Yeah, yeah. For the question? So the way it is written, according to counsel, if you have a styrofoam float out in the mooring fields in the marine trades, that would be banned if it's made with this product. It's not banned? It's not banned. So you told him it was banned today, didn't you? Wait a minute. What did you tell him? You know what? This is what happens. When we try to do these things on the fly, we get 4-page bylaws on the floor of town meeting, the night of town meeting. Petitioners, in the future, as you have been advised multiple times when you speak to me and others, get this stuff together at least a couple of weeks in advance so that town meeting members can read it, we can find out if these exemptions exist, and we don't end up with 4 pages when we walk in the back door, we vote that night, and all these questions arise on night 3 of town meeting. The question will merely come on whether or not to reconsider it, and then we'll discuss it if the reconsideration passes. All those in favor of reconsideration signify by pressing 1A. This motion is on reconsideration. All in favor of reconsidering it, press 1. All those opposed to reconsidering it, press 2. A vote of 74 in favor and 100 opposed. The motion to reconsider fails, and we go to Article 26. Article 26 is a petitioner's article. The recommendation by the Board of Selectmen is indefinite postponement. Would the petitioner make a main motion?
Hi there. The Solid Waste Advisory Committee asked the town to create a solid waste division.
There, just Linda Davis.
I'm
Could you-
sorry.
could you
Well,
introduce,
all right. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and town meeting members and town officials. My name is Linda Davis. I am from Precinct 8, and I am chairman of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. And we have a proposal before you tonight. We are asking the town to create a solid waste division within the Department of Public Works, headed by a solid waste manager superintendent. My presentation will be brief and to the point. Everybody take a breath. We've been through a lot in the last hour, so just relax and listen, and the Solid Waste Advisory Committee will make its point. First of all, I want to briefly refresh your memory on the proposal to create a solid waste division within the Department of Public Works, headed by a solid waste manager. The Solid Waste Advisory Committee has advocated for a solid waste manager since 1989. In 2007, the Matrix Consulting Group studied the operational, organization, and management of the DPW. It recommended that solid waste should be centralized and placed at a higher level in the organization. In the spring of 2012, town meeting voted to recommend the creation of a solid waste division within the DPW, headed by a solid waste manager. Leadership over there and management listened. And in November of 2012, town meeting voted Article 29 to amend the town's salary administration that created and funded the very needed position of Deputy Director to the Department of Public Works. In satisfying that need for a second in command, the position also carried with it some solid waste responsibilities. In 2015, the position was filled. This was clearly a step in the right direction. However, a close look at the job descriptions of 3 DPW personnel, the Director of Public Works, the Deputy Director of Public Works, and the Highway Superintendent, shows that the responsibilities for municipal solid waste management are allocated across the present management lines, with no leadership in one position. And these positions carry with them major responsibilities in other areas as well, with new challenges being added all the time, such as continuing coastal erosion, infrastructure repair, recovery from unexpected storms, to name a few. Not to mention the stress that comes from seeing the population triple during the summer season. Management of solid waste is not a priority in the structural setup. Now let me make this very, very clear. The Solid Waste Advisory Committee has no issue with the personnel in charge. In fact, working with Mr. Peter McConerty, Deputy Director of the DPW, and Mr. Jim Grady, Superintendent of the Highway Department, has been very positive and an eye-opener as to how very dedicated and hardworking these men are at their jobs. But it has also revealed the difficulty in management and in making waste management a priority under the present decentralized structure. The town needs to take the next step. The changing face of trash and recycling worldwide, its impact on the United States, Massachusetts, and Falmouth clearly calls for leadership and direction that is consolidated in the position of solid waste manager who heads a separate solid waste division within the Department of Public Works. That being said, the Solid Waste Advisory Committee is fully aware that this article before you is advisory only. Town meeting cannot create a position. Only a recommendation from town management with a 4/5 vote of the Board of Selectmen can make this happen. Your vote to either support or reject this article will have no immediate effect, but will continue the conversation for the need to have a solid waste division headed by a solid waste manager. In closing, you need to know the Solid Waste Advisory Committee would not be doing its job if it did not continue to advocate for this as one of its goals in working toward an effective and efficient integrated waste management system for this town. Thank you.
Mr. Neto?
Joe Neto, Precinct 9. Mr. Moderator, I'd like to ask you a question because it has to deal with the charter. And I had a problem in reading the explanation given for Article 26 and Article 29. And I think we should, and I think Ms. Davis kind of alluded to it, but under the powers given to each branch of our town government under the charter, when I read it, under the creation of new jobs, we have the 4/5 vote by the Board of Selectmen. I don't know exactly what comes first, you know, the chicken or the egg here, but the Board of Selectmen on a new position have to vote at least 4 positive votes for that position. And then if I'm not mistaken, and maybe you could help me, Mr. Moderator, under the charter, I think our role, or would Mr. Duffy answer the question? Okay, Mr. Duffy, I'm sorry. Mr. Duffy, isn't our role to okay the funds, so we have to have a vote for anytime a new position is created? Is that the mechanics of how it works under the charter?
Mr. Nettle, that's the way I understand it too. Town meeting funds the position after it's been created, and it takes a 4/5 vote of the Board of Selectmen to do so.
Thank you. I hope all town meeting members remember that. So I have to ask you, how come we got left out of the explanation? And pay attention to new positions that are being created in the town of Falmouth. Thank you.
Okay, further discussion on the article? Mr. Suso?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Julian Suso, Falmouth Town Manager. I do want to clarify, when the position of Deputy Director of Public Works was created, was during my tenure as Town Manager. It was a position which we had reviewed at some length, deliberated upon, brought to the Board of Selectmen as has been described by the process pursuant to the Falmouth Town Charter. The Board of Selectmen voted unanimously to approve that position, as well as the detailed job description for the Deputy Director of Public Works. That was then subsequently brought to town meeting with the subsequent budget, and we requested town meeting support to provide the funding to allow us to fill that full-time position. We also provided information on the job description for the position approved by the Board of Selectmen and recommended by me as Town Manager, and it clearly stated that among the responsibilities of the Deputy Director of Public Works is all oversight of the solid waste management function. It's clear-cut, there's no question, it's not decentralized, and our very able Deputy Public Works Director, Peter McConerty, who's been with us here every evening and is steadfast and diligent in his work, oversees that function and does an excellent job. So I wanted to clarify that for town meeting members. Thank you.
Mr. Patterson?
I want to mention that the solid waste issue is not something that the selectmen are blind to. Part of our strategic plan includes a long-range plan for handling the disposal of our solid waste, because when the Bourne landfill is capped off, we have to go somewhere else. And so we actually have it in our strategic plan to start dealing with these kinds of problems. So I would ask you not to jump the gun here and try to insert a position like that, but allow us to handle it as an administrative function where we're watching to make sure that it's being dealt with. Thank you.
Ms. Braga and then Ms. Davis. Ms. Braga, then Ms. Davis.
Okay, thank you. Just to follow up a little bit on what Sam was mentioning, I think that the points raised by Linda and the work that Solid Waste has been doing, it's, as Linda noted, there's no slight to the members of the DPW. I think it's, just a recognition of the reality of issues around solid waste and how they're growing and they're complex. The economy around recycling has changed drastically all over the world, and it's impacting us, and we have to be able to be really proactive as we think about ways to, number one, do what we need to do with our waste so that our town remains beautiful, and the services that we all really appreciate and that are very rare. Curbside pickup is pretty rare, and it's becoming more rare as time goes on, and it's a wonderful service that the town is able to provide. But the other piece is, the economic piece of it, saving money, making sure that we're getting the best for the money that that we as taxpayers put into it. The one issue that I think the board has with articles like this, and again, it's a recognition that the need is there, but it's similar to some of the other articles we'll see tonight. And I think it's related to the idea when we talk about sort of spot zoning, these spot hirings. And I know that Linda noted it was just advisory, but hiring personnel isn't something we just enter into willy-nilly. It's very expensive. It's not just their salary, it's all of the benefits, and it has to be looked at in a full structure of what the entire budget is for the town. And the process, certainly involves this board, it involves town meeting, it involves, very importantly, finance committee, who reviews those budget requests each year, from every department when they ask for additional staff. So I think the message is heard from Solid Waste Advisory by this board. And as to sort of the other issues around hiring and personnel, we hear that too, but it really has to be looked at as an entire picture, because those are big investments that the town makes in personnel. It's really our most important investment, because it's the people that get the jobs done. The capital is important, but the folks that are actually running the machinery and running the departments, that's really our biggest investment, and we have to look at it in its totality, and again, get the input from Finance Committee, from our finance director, and have that kind of whole evaluation. So I want Solid Waste Advisory and for this body to understand that we, as Sam said, we hear this. It's part of our strategic plan. This is a priority for the town, for the board to really do better and to be forward-looking around the issues of solid waste. But we didn't support it for the description and the explanation is that we have to look at hiring in the bigger picture. So I just want to thank Solid Waste for doing exactly what Linda said, which is their job in pushing these issues forward.
Ms. Davis.
Yes, the Solid Waste Advisory Committee does certainly understand what's involved in creating a position, all that goes with it, the benefits, the retirement, and so forth. We have collected a lot of information about solid waste managers in other areas. We've spoken to some of them who are very willing to share how their towns created that position. There's a lot of information that could be helpful that we would like to pass on to, not tonight, this is not the forum for it, but we have it. And it may be helpful to you to look at it and to consider how, not just necessarily the position, but how are we going to meet the demands of a changing waste environment. I mean, that's what we're talking about. And it's not just maintaining what we have or looking at what we have to make it work more effectively, but we're looking at being current, We're looking at connecting with the state, other communities on the Cape who are trying to come together to deal with some of these issues, but also somebody who can think out of the box and look at what the options are for the future and be ready to handle them. And that's why we want this. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Finneran.
Mark Finneran, Precinct 6, also on the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. Just a little piece of information. In the article I'm about to present next, I called towns all over the state, and I Googled up or used the search engine looking for the DPW. If the number came up straight in the search, I just called the DPW. Most of the time I had to go onto the town's website, all of them which were different than our website, many of them which were the same, the setup, format, whatever. But I was surprised to see in almost every town or city that I looked in, going down through the departments, they all, and I think it was all, had a solid waste division, and we don't. That's why we're bringing this article. I mean, it's a necessity, and anybody who's familiar with it can see that we're really going backwards, and we're just trying to do our job and move this thing forward. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Dufresne, and then Mr. Smolowitz.
All of their efforts, but I'd like to move the question. Adrian Dufresne.
He wants to move the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Opinion of the chair is that the ayes have it by a 2/3. The question comes on Article 26 to ask the town to create the solid waste division. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Let's do a slide. All those in favor of Article 26 as printed signify by pressing 1A. All those opposed, 2B. By a counter vote of 97 in favor and 77 opposed, the article passes. Article 27 is another petitioner article. The Board of Selectmen's recommendation is indefinite postponement. Mr. Finneran for a positive motion.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mark Finneran, Precinct 6. I'd like to put a positive motion on the floor for this article, and I'd like to go through it as quick as possible.
Okay, as printed.
As printed,
Yep.
yes. Cue it up. This is Article 27. Shall town meeting vote to authorize the use of a second water meter at properties in the sewer service areas for irrigation and other outside uses? The second meter would be paid for by the property owner, installed by the town, and billed at the non-sewer rate, or take any other action on this matter. Next slide, please. Our water is billed in units. 1 unit equals 100 cubic feet, or 748 gallons. If you live in a non-sewered area, you pay $3.30 for a unit of water. If you live in a sewered area, you pay $6.70 for a unit of water, more than double. Next slide, please. There's a term for these meters. They're used all over the country, all over the world, all over this state, and on Cape Cod as well. They're called exclusion meters. A It basically excludes the water that you use for outside uses, irrigation for the most part. That's what we're looking for. Next slide. First thing I did was contact the towns on the Cape that have sewer, which are Barnstable, Chatham, and Provincetown. Barnstable uses a second meter, Chatham uses a second meter, and Provincetown does not allow irrigation with town water. And as I found out afterwards, actually Provincetown doesn't have a lot of their own water. They buy it from Truro, and I'm sure that's why they don't allow it, only with wells. Okay. I had a friend who told me that he lived in Lynn and they allowed for second meters. I had someone also that lived in Lexington tell me that they allowed second meters there. I had numerous people, town meeting members, tell me they lived in Florida and their houses had second meters. So I called all these towns. You can see out of the towns that were there, Lawrence, Lee, Lenox, Lexington, all use the second meter. Littleton has no sewer. Longmeadow has a sewer charge limit, and they use a formula that they charge anyone who uses the irrigation, so they don't pay the full sewer rate. Lowell uses a second meter, Lunenburg uses a second meter, Lynn uses a second meter. Linfield has no sewer, therefore it's not a question. That's just the L's in Massachusetts. But you can see that it's overwhelming, and it's just not fair. Next slide, please. And that's the question, really. Is it fair to charge different prices for the same product depending on where you live in town? I say we're all the same, we're all equal. Why should somebody literally across the street from you pay half what you pay to irrigate their property? It makes no sense to me. I see that it's not fair, and you can see how the towns that I've showed you all agree. I also personally think that it's possibly against the law. I mean, it's not equal treatment of all. I mean, it's inequitable. And that's all I have. I understand the DPW has a counter presentation, and I'll reserve my time to counter that if necessary.
Okay, further discussion? Ms. Lowe?
Hi, I'm Amy Lowell, the town's wastewater superintendent. I entirely understand why this article was presented. I understand the question. Unfortunately, there is one slide here on this article. Second meter is not as good as it sounds. It's not going to do what the proponents hope it will do. I just have a few points to make about that. Installing a second meter would not be as cheap or as simple as one might imagine. The town would require a second service to the property, a second water service to the property, and a meter pit and a meter in that pit. The cost for that would vary, but it would be more than $2,000. In addition, a second meter would only benefit people who use a lot of water for irrigation. One thing that might not be clear is if you install a second meter, you would have a minimum charge every semi-annual billing period for that second meter, just like you have for your existing meter. So unless you use more than the allowance for the period of water to water your lawn, you will actually be paying more for that second meter than you would be saving. In fact, second meters ultimately would redistribute the sewer cost among the sewer customers. If high irrigation water users, if high water users who use their water for irrigation put in second meters, that would decrease the sewer revenue. Sewer revenue has to pay for the sewer division costs. Sewer division costs are not going to go down if people put in second meters. So unfortunately, if you do the math, what that means is you would have to increase the sewer rate to make up for the lost revenue. And so that would redistribute the sewer system cost among the sewer system users. So the result would be that it would, this change, allowing a second meter, would reduce sewer costs for the people who use the most water for irrigation, but would increase costs for the majority of sewer customers. Lastly, if one does use a fair amount of water for irrigation, an irrigation well is a much better option. A well does have installation costs of about $3,500. But once you install that well, you do not pay the sewer cost or the water cost for the water that goes on the lawn. So that's a very significant difference. You'd have zero cost for your irrigation water with a well. The health department, in recognizing the benefits of using well water for irrigation, recently reduced the setback requirements for irrigation wells within the sewer service area. The setback, I don't know, used to be 50, 100 feet, something like that. It's now 10 feet. So almost any property would have enough space on their lot to put an irrigation well in. The town just built a $40 million drinking water plant, and it is worth thinking about whether it would be better to water grass with water that comes out of the ground directly out of the ground rather than our highly treated drinking water. Lastly, a benefit of irrigation wells is that they would reduce peak demand on the water system. You may have heard, if you were watching the selectmen's meetings or reading the newspaper over the summer, that the peak demand for the water system is in the summer, when not only does our population triple, but also everyone has their irrigation systems programmed to come on in the early morning. If the more people switch to wells, the higher water users switch to wells, the less the less demand that is during that peak time. So, in conclusion, I understand the concept here. What happened was the Little Pond Sewer Service Area's customers connected to the sewer, and they got that first bill, and it's a shock. The sewer rate is twice the water rate, and when you connect to the sewer, your water and sewer bill then triples, and that's a big impact. But I don't believe that this proposal would have the desired impact. Thank you.
Mr. Neto, and then Mr. Dinan.
Joe Neto, Precinct 9. How many town meeting members here are connected to the sewer? If you just raise your hand quickly. I don't know if some of you have any idea what these sewer rates are. And I voted and spoke for the sewer, and I believe in it. I'm not going to speak for this article, but all this talk of irrigation, I have a tenant in a house in the sewer area with absolutely no irrigation, 2 people, cooking, showering. Just think, all of you got a water bill, what, 2 weeks ago? How would you like to get $400 and $500 sewer water bills? Absolutely no irrigation. No, they're not watering the lawn. It's my property. I know what my bill is, and I have an extensive garden. I don't know, it's like $87, and I water that all summer. There's a great inequity here. And I'll speak to the Board of Selectmen. We have to look at these sewer rates. I mean, Ms. Lowell spoke about irrigation as a second. How many times do you wash your car? Just stop and think of it when you know. These rates in the sewer area for water, and I don't know how we differentiate, are astronomical. And you may say, well, Joe, that's all I know, and it's only 6 months, twice a year. But think what you paid for your water. And the neighbors on Elmer Road that I talked to all have the same bill. And they stopped irrigating their lawn. Joe, I can't afford it. I think that's the issue that we want to look for. And I know in speaking to Ms. Petit 2 years ago, when we raised the rates, because we raised the rates, we passed a sewer bill, We passed an article here at town meeting to raise the rates so that we could get more revenue. Now, there was a goal to that. I'm not going to answer that question tonight. But in the presentation for that article, there was a goal put out of a figure of X amount of dollars. And I said, I'm going to come back a couple of years from now, and if we've met that goal, or have we exceeded that goal? So I think this is something, I'm not rising in support of the article. It is expensive, but just the question of the rates in the explanation, it was always given as these people irrigating their lawn. No, they're not. They're bathing, cooking. I just want you to understand that. Thank you.
Mr. Tamas?
Jerry Thomas, Precinct 2. I hope I'm not the kiss of death in this, but I would recommend voting against this. Ms. Lowell is completely right. I installed the sewer system, $5,000. My landscaping cost was $10,000. $2,000 for irrigation. Who knows what you're going to pay for landscaping? And you have to connect up the internal plumbing costs. I think they're going to be expensive. I had some internal plumbing, and I think you might see $1,000 to $2,000 minimally if you want to relocate your plumbing, because the meter has to go on probably the irrigation spigot or wherever it fits the irrigation, not your outdoor shower or not how you water your car. You could do that, but the costs have gone up. And finally, this is something that's been discussed for wastewater for a long, long time. Irrigation wells actually were bringing up water with nitrogen. Even people in the sewer area, you're getting nitrogen coming down from the legacy north of us, okay? You may actually be helping with nitrogen reduction by putting in an irrigation well, because the water comes up and it goes back down through your lawn. That's a secondary thing, but I really think, I also have a sprinkler system, and I use it a lot. And my rate wasn't that much more. I've had neighbors that 1,700, 2,000. I say, I'll take a look at it, but you have to call to see if you have a broken meter or not. I don't know why these costs are so high. I have a relatively new house. The meter's good, so I'm getting billed pretty much for what I use. And my sewer and water costs are not that high. I expected the sewer costs. It was in line with what the Water Quality Committee, and I think I even had some estimates on it. So I recommend you to vote no, because as Amy said, it's probably not worthwhile to install it, and they're going to redistribute the costs anyways. So my wastewater bill will go down, but I'll pick on my good friend John Waterbury. But he may be spending a little bit more, or other people may be spending a little bit more on wastewater or water if we don't have enough operational maintenance costs to fund those departments. Thank you. And I hope I wasn't the kiss of death.
Okay, Mr. Dinan?
Bill Dinan, Precinct 5, New Silver Beach, with 210 homes that have storage. And we paid $28,000 a home to have it installed without the hookup, another $3 grand. That was 9 years ago. I have an irrigation system. I use it. I have a garden. I use that too to water it. I checked on the price of a well, and I got a quote between $13,000 and $15,000 to put a well in, which I didn't do. When this was designed, the plant was designed, my question is, was 100% of this water going to be recovered for the station to go back to? I'm sure there's a consideration there that only a certain percentage was going to be used outdoors and the rest of it was going to go back as far as the plant for recovery. I don't know if anybody can answer that, but I think it's an inequity that should be addressed. And I don't think there's going to be a big split here. Let's say if a second meter's put on and the water's going to drop and your rates are going to go up. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think the rates are way out of whack with 100% for the people with sewerage, and that has to be addressed. Can I get an answer on the consideration, Amy? When this was designed, was it 100% recovery?
I don't understand the question, I'm sorry.
When you set the rates, do you figure 100% of the water was going back or not?
We bill for sewer based on water use. So we set the sewer rate knowing what our costs are, and we divide that by the number of water units used in a year. I mean, that's an oversimplification. We did a detailed rate setting process.
I think the question is very
that's
simple.
The basic.
Is there any exception for any water that wasn't returning to the wastewater treatment plant? Yes or no? I mean, that's a
No.
pretty simple question. No. So there's your answer.
But
no.
we know that it all doesn't come back to the plant, but we don't make an accommodation for that the way you're, I guess that's your question.
Yep. And that was the answer. So Ms. Putnam? Let's go, folks. They're calling out the Sanders already.
Rebecca Putnam.
I'm serious. They're calling out the Sanders. Let's go, Ms. Putnam.
Rebecca Putnam, Precinct 9. I manage a property that is going to be hooked up in the next year into the new sewer plant. And we have apartments that we actually rent below what is the state guideline for affordable units. Affordable 2 bedrooms is $1,400. We rent at $1,200 a unit. So we are saving people $200, which is $2,400 a year, each person, so that they can work and stay in Falmouth. Now, our actual water rate went from being $500 twice a year to, I'm figuring when I just got this bill, we're going to be a little over maybe $2,000. Now, the usage hasn't changed. Same tenants have been there for 5, 6, 7 years. Now I'm going to have to turn around and tell my property owner, you're going to have to increase these people's rents. I think that what really needs to be done is that we need to actually have maybe an article that addresses it as having an actual meter that reads what goes out of the buildings, which would help people. Because if you're using irrigation, it's going to only meter what comes in for water usage and then metering what goes out into the actual treatment plant. And I think that that's really what we should be looking and addressing, because that would actually be fair to the people on the actual sewer system.
Can I answer that? Okay, Ms. Williams, and then we'll come back. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Cheryl Williams, Precinct 3, and I'm also co-president of the T-Ticket Civic Association. I am in the Little Pond sewer area, and I would just like to remind everybody, when we were going through the whole process of being sewered in the Little Pond area, there was major concern because of the socio-economic condition in the area, and there are loans available, et cetera. I guess my point being, when you take a look at the rates that are being charged right now, and we are getting numerous emails from our membership in T-Ticket, people just so overwhelmed with their sewer and water bills. Bottom line, water coming in through a meter is read, and ultimately the assumption is that it's going back through the sewer. If you wash your car or you water your garden, that ain't necessarily what is really going on. So what Mark is saying is true. There's an inequity. I would suggest, as Rebecca just said, we really need to take a look at this. I don't necessarily agree with the second meter. I don't necessarily agree with wells because of the money involved with either of those alternatives. But there has to be another hard look taken at this because of the situation and the amounts of the bills.
Okay, Mr. Finner.
First off, when I was making these calls, I did ask 5 or 6 people when I was having discussion. I asked lots of things. And the ones I asked how much their water was, or their water rate was, we have the highest by far. I was kind of surprised. Also, we were told that you would need a second service. I mean, I discussed it with the people. All you do is split the line where it's coming in, you put in a T, you put your second meter in. It's not necessary to have a second service. And Amy said it would only benefit people who irrigate. Well, they have the choice. If they're spending enough money on irrigation and they want to pay for the second meter, they can. If you don't have to buy it. I mean, it's done all over the state. As far as the sewer cost, I mean, and Rebecca said you need to measure what's coming out. You can't measure sewage going out of a building, so that's not possible. Otherwise, I mean, we would know, and there would be a differentiation, and I'm sure that there would be a credit for it, but it's just not possible. And you're charging someone for a service that they're not even using. It's just not fair. These people are paying $16,000 in betterment, maybe $5,000 to hitch up, and you want them to spend another $5,000 for a well? I mean, that sounds simple, but a lot of people just don't have the money. Like as I said, I mean, it's up to you. Are we all the same? Should we all be treated the same? Should everyone pay the same price for water? I think yes. And I mean, it's up to you, you know. Think of your neighbors, though. And in many cases, it's literally the person across the street is paying twice as much as you to do the same thing. Again, I ask you, how fair is that?
Okay, Mr. Crocker?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Moderator. I was a town meeting member here for 55 years, sitting in this place where you are right now. I look around at some of the people when I first started when I was 25 years old. I look down the corner where Andy Dufresne sits, and there was gentlemen that were there for years, and they're gone. Mr. Nicholson, Woods Hole, and quite a few others that I remember. I sat here for 55 years, and I listened to all the town affairs, and I always thought the best for the town of Falmouth. I am 5 generations here. A lot of you people know me by being a professional entertainer traveling all over the country. But I'm here tonight to say this. I lived in this town, I grew in this town, and I worked my can off in this town to support the town and the taxes. Sure, we're here tonight, we say, oh, well, we're going to do the cost of money and everything else. How about the people in the sewer area that are being charged like myself? A native, and I'm trying to hold on to the house and paying my taxes and a double water bill with the sewer. Now, in respect to all the committees that work so hard, I feel that we should go to the drawing board, find out how we can help the people in the area with the cost of the water and the sewer. The people in the other areas are not affected as of this time, but they will be affected in the future. So we have to set a precedent. Every time we come to this town meeting, I hear the bickering back and forth. And over 55 years, we've had some knockdowns, fights, and hollering. But I will tell you one thing. Falmouth is a wonderful town. It's a great town. And let's keep it a great town by helping the people in the area. And remember one thing. We are for the people, not for ourselves. We want to help the people out there that are listening on television right now, are listening to us. And they are waiting for the results. I've had calls and calls, people saying, Harold, would you please voice your opinion at town meeting, which I have for 55 years. Thank you very much.
Mr. Rafferty?
Stephen Rafferty, Precinct 2 Water Superintendent. I'm going to back up. I'm going to back Amy up a little bit here on what she said. We have another slide that's got a math slide that I want to put up there to help you walk through this. I'm not going to tell you that what you're paying for your water or what you're paying for your sewer is a good deal or a bad deal. I will tell you that when we go through the rate process, we've determined what it costs to operate the water department and what it costs to operate the sewer department. And then we divide it by what we expect the water will be used for all the water users and all those people that are on the sewer. The current water rate is $3.30. The current sewer rate is $6.70. If you're only getting water, you pay $3.30 per unit. If you're in the sewer area, you're paying $10 per unit. $3.30 for the water, $6.70 for the sewer portion. I took and looked at the 1,324 homes that are on sewer and how much water each one of those individuals used over the last year. 54% of the people do not use the minimum amount of water in a year. If you're only on the water system, you'll pay $116 a year if you're in that 54%. If you're in the sewer service area, you'll pay $384 a year. 32% of the people use roughly twice the allocation. Their sewer bill and water bill combined when they're in that sewer service area is now running between $750 and $1,000. And then there's 13% of the users who use a lot of water. Some of them are commercial establishments. Some of them are people that irrigate. And their bills run any place from $3,000 going on up, depending upon how big a unit they are. So I ran the numbers. I don't know whether or not the proposal is that it's an elective, it's up to you to choose whether or not you want to put a second meter in, or whether the intent is to put a second meter into everybody's home. But when I went through and did the analysis, I said, if you take that 13% and you presume that they go and put their own meter in, and then you decide that 30% of the water they're using is irrigation or is not going back to the sewer, what does that mean? Well, for 54% of the people, it doesn't mean an awful lot because they're already using less than the minimum. For those 32% that were using roughly twice the minimum, by the time we come back to our equation here where we put the operational cost for the water department, and now we're using a smaller number on the bottom of that equation, there's less water usage being used, quote, unquote, because we now have water that's being used for irrigation and not part of the equation. It will reduce the denominator and the rate will increase. And those folks that were paying $750 to $1,000 a year will now be paying $900 to $12,000 a year. But that 13% that's paying $3,000 and on up, those lucky individuals will save between $200 and $600 a year on their overall bill. And those are the numbers, and that's the math, and that's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Anything else? And then we'll take a vote.
Again, it's simple. It's elective, as was indicated in the thing. If you irrigate a lot and you want to pay for the meter, that's your option if you vote for this. But you're still charging people for a service that they're not using. In your calculations, you chose to charge people for water that you knew wasn't going into the sewer. And as you can see, I showed you before, almost every town seems to give the option, and why we wouldn't, I don't understand. And if we don't do this, I won't understand. We're no different than any other town. We're all the same.
Okay, the question will come on the main motion. All those in favor of Article 27 as printed signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. It's appearing the chairs that the noes have it by a majority and the article does not pass. Article 28. Article 28 is a petitioner article for the ALICE training between the schools and the police department. The Finance Committee's recommendation is indefinite postponement. Would the petitioner like to make a positive motion?
May I move the amendment, amend the motion
No, you're just going to move what
Move.
I emailed you this morning.
Yes, please.
So read it off. I move.
I got to pull it up. My name is Michael Halen, and I move the town vote to transfer a sum of $11,900 from certified free cash for ALICE training and peripheral equipment and supplies within the Falmouth Public Schools to be expended under the jurisdiction of the police chief and school committee. And I'm going to keep this nice and brief. As we all know, school shootings across the country are on the rise. And what we're looking for here, I know that the police and several teachers have been ALICE trained. We are looking for some equipment. If a school goes into lockdown, you have children in kindergarten, elementary school, who are locked in a room, and what we're looking for is equipment, pretty much porta-johns, first aid kits, these kind of things. Some of these lockdowns are for hours. $11,900 is short money to keep our kids as safe as possible. And that's it.
Okay, discussion on Article 28. Can you see what? Yeah, so it's what, yeah, what's printed in there, it's $11,900, but the difference here is that it talks about peripheral equipment supplies, and it's under the jurisdiction of the police chief and school committee.
These are some of the peripheral supplies we talk about. That's a bathroom for kids who are in a school lockdown right there. First aid kits, door locks, these kind of things.
Okay, any discussion? Ms. Medeiros.
Hi, Terry Medeiros, Precinct 6 and Chairman of the School Committee. First, we would like to thank Mr. Halen and everybody who considers the safety of our students. We have been proactive in doing ALICE training. Our first 2 meetings of this year were dealing with safety issues, and even before school began in September, we sent out administrators who have been to conferences and trying to find how to implement ALICE. Some of the ALICE things have buckets in their suggested materials to keep on hand. But at any rate, we are handling our training, and we didn't, right now we're not sure what equipment we need, so we don't think that this article should be considered because we just don't have the amounts that, I'm not quite sure where Mr. Halen got the amounts for this, but we will have a budget soon, a budget where we will take the information we've gotten from the various workshops we have gone to, working with Chief Dunn. Chief Dunn is also going to talk about this issue a little bit. Right now, we're handling quite well our need for sending our administrators, our teachers. We've had parents, we've had students who've been involved in activities, and we certainly wouldn't want to turn down any money. But right now, we're just not in a place where we know exactly what funds we would need. Okay, so that's the financial part of it, which the school committee has been considering. Again, thank you. We know if we came back and we needed money that you would certainly help us on this issue. Okay, and now Chief Dunn will talk about some of the safety parts of it.
Chief Dunn.
Just looking for an email for 1 second. I have some numbers. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Edward Dunn, Police Chief. We've been working with the school through the summer. I had a conversation with the new superintendent, Laura Dior, about ALICE training, and she elected that she wanted to go to the ALICE model. And for those of you that might not be familiar with what ALICE is, it's an acronym for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, and Evacuate. We've been doing school lockdowns probably going back into the early 2000s, and I can assure you the staff and the students have always done a wonderful job, and we keep them safe. Going to this new model of ALICE, I have 3 police officers that I sent off to be trained as instructors. So it doesn't cost the town any money. I've already paid for those, and they are instructors. One is an SRO, the other two are detectives, and we've been working with the schools. I'm not going to tell you exactly how many people in each school is trained. I'm just going to tell you the schools we've addressed and the number of people that have been trained. So far, we've trained the school administration, T-Ticket School, North Falmouth, Lawrence, Morse Pond, High School, Mullen Hall, school administration heads, and that totals 492 people have been trained. We have 4 more trainings coming up in November and December, and that's going to be the remainder of school administration, East Falmouth School, a private school in town, and the school committee. We're going to give them an overview exactly what Alice is about, and that's coming up. So, I mean, I believe it's well in hand. Some of the new lockdown drills that we have, we've already experienced the evacuate part of it. We're doing it piecemeal, and it's been embraced, and it's the police department and the school department have always had a great working relationship, and it continues. So I can assure you that we're doing all we can to keep your students and children safe.
Okay, further discussion on Article 28. Hearing none, the question will come on the main motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? No. So the chairs that the noes have it by a majority. Article 29, the recommendation of the Board of Selectmen is indefinite postponement. This was also a petitioner article. Mr. Halen.
Once again, nice and short. First of all, these positions are not new police positions. They are existing unfunded vacant positions that have been unfunded and vacant for the better part of a decade. I'm only going to read the amendment to the article. I move the town vote to advise the Board of...
That's correct. That's correct. You're right.
I apologize.
You're making a main motion.
Main motion.
Same thing, the email that I sent you yesterday.
I move the town vote to advise the Board of Selectmen to bring the staffing level within the Falmouth Police Department to fully staffed 66 police officers within the next few years, beginning July 1st, 2019.
Do you have a printed copy for the clerk? Okay, we'll get. All right, we'll get it. It's up there. So, this is an advisory opinion to the Board of Selectmen, staffing of the next few years. Presentation. Let's go.
And that's it. I just like the body here to advise the selectmen that we support the police and we want full staffing over the next couple of years. Simple.
Yeah. Chief.
Again, Edward Dunn, Police Chief. First of all, I just want to thank Mr. Halen for, and the community for the support that they have for the police department. Over the last several months, it's been very difficult, and really do appreciate, first of all, the Board of Selectmen support that we've received since the incident on July 27th, where Officer D. Miranda and Officer Moore was shot. I also want to thank, the town manager and the assistant town manager for all their support. I want to thank all of you for all your support in the community at large. Enough can't be said for the amount of support that we've had in the police department. I just want to give you a quick history. Some people might want to know where this 66 number comes from. I mean, we could say we want 80, but 66 is a number that's being out there. I work hand in hand with the town manager and the finance director, Jennifer Petit, on my budget for next year. Last year, we came before you looking for a position for one detective so I could increase the detective division. We were at 66 in 2008. I have to go back in a little history. I'll make it real short because it is snowing. We were at 66 in 2008. That's what we're allowed by this body and civil service to have for maximum in the police department. We all know 2008 was a good year. 2009, 2010, the economy tanked. When the economy tanked, we had officers that left this department and transferred to other departments because of the education incentive bill. We then had officers that had some disciplinary problems and were fired. We then had some officers that left. During that time, if they left, the town was in need of funding and took funding back from all departments, the library, the fire department, the police department, the DPW, because in order to run the town. So then we got down to 58. and that was under the guidance of Chief Riello. If you also remember this body, we had to give money back cruises. We didn't have cruises for 3 years. We didn't have drug money to do drug investigations. Over time, once we get through all that, we came back, working with the town manager, working with the financial people. We started to increase money into our vehicle budget so we could buy new vehicles. We increased money into my budget so we could do drug investigations. And as I just said, last year, this body voted money so that we could hire a new position, which took us from 58 sworn, which is what we get down to. We are now 49 sworn people. 59. Yeah, no. 3 nights, I'm tired. I'm sorry, 59 is what we have right now. I actually have 2 in the police academy as we speak. I prepared my budget for next year, and I've asked for 4 positions. It has been nothing but positive dealing with the town manager and Jennifer Petit. I believe I'll get those 4 positions, which we'll bring before you in the spring town meeting for the budgets. Next year, I plan on asking for 3. That will bring me up to the 66. If this body or the board said tonight that they would give me money for all 7 positions, I couldn't fill it for 2 years or 3 years. There's a hiring process. That hiring process takes a year to get a police officer into place. I also have 1 or possibly 2 retirements coming up, so it's always a catch-up. So I appreciate the support that Mr. Halen has brought forward. I appreciate the support out from the community, because I've heard from several people, several groups. That support's important as we move forward in the spring to fund these positions. But again, I thank you all, and again, I thank you all for all your support during our troubling time in the police department.
Okay, further discussion on Article 29. Hearing none, the question will come in the back right.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Gina Weber, Precinct 9. I just wanted to make sure that I understood. Is Chief Dunn saying then that he expects that these positions that Mr. Halen is requesting will be funded in the near future?
Chief.
Yes, I do. Like I say, I've had nothing but positive meetings with the town manager and Jennifer Petit.
Can we keep the motion slide up there, please? Since it's different than what's on the warrant booklet. Yeah, right there. So this is the main motion.
As a body for us to advise the selectmen and women to vote, to push this forward, and then we'll see this again in April where we can vote it again budgetarily.
Okay, Ms. Moran?
Thank you very much. I don't think there's anyone in this room that is not appreciative and very supportive of the police department. And particularly, as the chief said, this Board of Selectmen and the town staff. I think that town meeting's role is basically to, pass the spring finances and to look at initiatives. With respect to articles that would involve planning ahead, such as the chief has discussed, I think the most efficient way to bring these articles is to come to the selectmen, come to staff, put the idea into town hall so that these concepts and initiatives maybe they're already in the works, as the chief said. Maybe it's something that there can be a great agreement on. But I'm not sure that town meeting is the place to advise selectmen with respect to chief staffing. I mean, I don't think anyone disagrees with it, but in terms of process, please email the selectmen, come and see us, talk with town staff. This board is very active, and we've done communication, outreach. We want to hear from you. We want you to have your initiatives forwarded in the most efficient way possible. And we want to make sure that everyone's idea has a 360 view and gets input from all sides. So thank you very much.
Come on the main motion, which is the slide as presented above. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Spin the chairs that the noes have it by a majority. Article 30 is a Community Preservation Committee. Community Preservation Committee for the main motion.
Sandy Cuney, Precinct 2, Vice Chair of the Community Preservation Committee. I move Article 30 as recommended.
As recommended, this will appropriate the sum of $260,270 from fiscal 2019 Community Preservation Reserve revenues to construct a pedestrian bridge and wetland walkway at Swiss Crossing, Coonamessett Greenway, Heritage Park, and Gateway, Heritage Trail and Gateway Park. Who held this article? Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a question or? Yeah. Yeah, with a microphone, please.
Joe LeMay, Precinct 9. I just wanted to see what I'm buying.
Okay.
I want to see a picture of the bridge. What's the design work they did on it, if they have anything like that. Thank you. That's what I want.
Okay, so presentation, Ms. Cuney.
This is a picture. This is the loop. And I have, Betsy is here tonight. So you want to give him just a little overview? Through you, Mr. Moderator.
Yes, thank you. Betsy Walter, Precinct 6. So for those of you who have been out to the river, to the restored lower part of the river, you might have seen Dexter's Mill crossing. And I had actually given the committee a picture of the bridge to show you so that you could see what the wetland walkway looked like. But we don't have that. We do have another picture for you in a second, though. But the middle dam will be taken down shortly, in a few months. And so in place of that middle dam will be another wetland walkway. And this entire loop will be about a little less than a mile, and it'll all be wheelchair accessible. And we'd like to have this finished before Middle Dam comes down, so people will have a walkway while the upper part of the river is being restored. So could we have the next picture, too? And this is, so this was the picture that CPC decided to put in. This is some of the T-ticket second graders, and those are herring flags that they're showing us what the herring do when they're in the sea. The herring schools in the sea. This was a field trip last spring.
Okay, I saw a hand somewhere in the middle. Yep.
Clayton Jones, Precinct 9. Just a quick question through you, Mr. Moderator, to Betsy. It is not presently handicap accessible because those granite blocks that are positioned in front of the bridges are not stroller accessible. Do those get shifted out and moved slightly?
Absolutely. They're going to be shifted. I actually had a design for those of you who've hiked in Europe, these kissing gates.
Right.
But that's a movable part.
Yep.
But what we're going to do is shift those blocks so that they will be handicap accessible.
They're almost not pedestrian accessible. In some cases, I tripped over one at the ribbon cutting. No, I know. We talked about it. And maybe we'll get you some money from the state in a few weeks on that too. Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
Betsy, in the request, it doesn't mention the amphitheater, but in the explanation, it does. Is the amphitheater included in this, or is this just
No,
the walkway?
the amphitheater is not included in this.
Okay.
This is just for Swift's Crossing.
Okay.
And
You'll be back.
We'll be back.
Okay. Thank you.
So.
Okay, any further discussion? Yeah, Shepard?
I just want to say this before you release us all. I actually read every word I receive in my warrant booklet and all of the other things, and I would hope that in future town meetings we do a better job of having wording printed in the warrant books as it's supposed to be, and also on the petitioner's articles. It's been a very confusing meeting. Thank you.
Okay, the question will come on the main motion, Article 30, as recommended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a majority. Mr. Chairman of the Finance Committee, can you let us know how much money we spent at this meeting?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, or Mr. Moderator. This body has spent $19,257,769.28.
Okay. Madam Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, for the notification of the next annual town meeting.
I hereby give notice the next annual town meeting will be April 8, 2019.
Okay, April 8th, 2019. Chair will entertain a motion to dissolve the meeting. So moved. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We're adjourned, and good luck getting that snow off your cars.
Falmouth Community Television's coverage of town meeting is sponsored by the following corporate underwriters.
Welcome to the Falmouth Chamber of Commerce. The Falmouth Chamber is dedicated to working on behalf of our members to make Falmouth a better place to live, work, and conduct business. We are committed to developing the economic, cultural, educational, and civic interests of our community and welcome the support from all organizations to achieve our combined goals. Whether you call Falmouth home, are a summer resident, or a visitor, we hope you take advantage of all that the Chamber has to offer.
CARLSON Printing for all your printing needs. 508-548-7303 or toll free at 1-800-696-7303. Our email address is carlsonprinting@aol.com. CARLSON Printing for all your printing needs.
Hosting services for FCTV.org are provided by MegaNet Communications. MegaNet offers a wide array of internet services, including Mega Backup Cloud Service, server co-location, T1, fiber, Metro Ethernet, as well as telephone services such as hosted PBX and digital voice. Their #1 goal is to keep your communications network up and running and allow you to focus on growing your business. 877-634-2638 or meganet.net. Additional funding and support provided by the following corporate sponsors.
Barrett Plumbing and Heating offers expert plumbing, heating, and air conditioning services to all our residential and commercial customers on Cape Cod and surrounding area. We are a full-service plumbing specialist offering professional workmanship to suit your budget. Whatever your heating or plumbing need, you can always count on a job that's done right.
Dogs and Hogs, family owned and operated for over 5 years. Our slow smoke barbecue is available for dine-in, pickup, or catering, now featuring our homemade barbecue sauce. We also serve beer and wine, have gluten-free options, and lobster rolls.
RJ's Variety and Liquor, family owned and operated for 15 years. We have a variety of beer, wine, and liquor, local frozen stuffed quahogs, local frozen pizza snacks, and more. RJ's Variety and Liquor, 174 Sandwich Road, T-Ticket. The attorneys at Oppenheim and Nickerson LLP have provided legal services in Falmouth for over 36 years. We advocate for our clients and work to provide quality representation in the areas of business and corporate law, real estate law, estate planning, and estate administration. 508-548-8255.
We at Falmouth Fish believe there is nothing better than a fresh piece of fish, direct from the waters of Cape Cod in New England. Nothing beats waking up at 4 a.m. to search out the highest quality seafood from the best fishermen in the world.
7 Stars Academy, offering martial arts and Tai Chi. Training at 7 Stars Academy can transform your life. It's amazing to see the positive impact it has on our students. Classes for adults and children of all ages. Confidence, not conflict, at 7 Stars Academy of Martial Arts.
Hamilton Tree and Landscaping has been proudly serving Falmouth and the Upper Cape since 1978. Located on Route 151, we're available for all landscaping and tree concerns. Appreciating your property is our motto as we continue to keep your tree and landscaping needs our top priority. At A&A Paving, we believe in providing customers with quality products supported by excellent service. We provide commercial and residential seal coating, asphalt paving, and repair services for Cape Cod and southeastern Mass. A&A Paving, 508-540-4944.
Calfee Insurance, offering insurance policies for your car, home, business, life, and disability. Calfee cares about all your insurance needs. 508-540-2601 and online at calfeeinsurance.com.
Thomas J. Bunker and Jeffrey E. Reither are BSS Design, providing land surveying and civil engineering in Falmouth since 1987. Licensed and fully insured, they're located on Catherine Lee Bates Road, and their phone number is 540-8805.
Wild Harbor General Store, located in historic North Falmouth Village, providing quality goods and services for 170 years. Continuing to make history with our support of FCTV's coverage of Falmouth Town Meeting.
Liam McGuire's Irish Pub. With a newly renovated dining room, it's what an Irish pub should be. Main Street, downtown Falmouth. Bayside Kitchen and Bath at 419 Palmer Avenue in Falmouth, where design and installation professionals work closely with homeowners, architects, and builders, offering a full range of cabinetry, countertops, and faucets. Bayside Kitchen and Bath, returning you to beautiful spaces.
Eastman's has been Falmouth's hardware store since 1913. With a newly added retail space providing kitchen accessory and gourmet foods, our friendly staff is available to assist you with your hardware and kitchen needs. 508-540-0407.
Carpet Barn, Carpet One Home Showcase, a local family-owned business offering all your premier carpet and flooring needs. They also feature tile and vinyl floors, area rugs, window treatments, and kitchen and bathroom cabinetry, serving you at 4 convenient locations. Cavosa Disposal is proud to provide trash removal, recycling, and composting to local businesses in Falmouth and surrounding communities. Cavosa Disposal would like to thank its customers in Falmouth. Cavosa Disposal, 508-563-5070. Family owned since 1919, at Puritan Cape Cod you'll find the latest in men's and women's clothing as well as ski and tennis equipment and much more. Located on Main Street, Falmouth, and in Chatham, Mashpee, and Hyannis. Puritan Cape Cod, 199 Main Street, Falmouth, and online at puritancapeCod.com.
FCTV is also supported by the following businesses and organizations.
Nobska Lighthouse and Maritime Museum, friendsofnobska.org. Falmouth EDIC, Economic Development and Industrial Corporation, 508-548-7440. Partners Technology, Voice and Data Solutions, 781-930-5000. Wacoit Congregational Church, 508-548-5269. Annie Hartcool, Global Real Estate Advisor, Sotheby's International Realty, 508-868-0664. St. Elizabeth Seton Church, 508-563-7770. Vincent Associates, 548-6500. Turning Point Dance Studio presents the Sea Captain's Nutcracker at Tilden Arts Center in Barnstable. Soares Flower Garden Nursery, 508-548-5288. M. Duffany Builders, 508-540-3625. Cranberry Nail Spa, 508-495-9999. Neighborhood Falmouth, 508-564-7543. Danny's Barbershop, 508-548-6013. Carl F. Cavosa Excavating, 508-563-5530. Paul's Precision Automotive Repair, 464 Main Street, 508-548-3164. David Rogers Electric, residential, commercial, industrial, TV studio, and motion picture, 508-564-7507. Murray and McDonald's Insurance, 800-800-8990. The Davy Tree Expert Company, 508-548-2662. Andy's Barbershop in the Falmouth Plaza. Chapman Cole & Gleason, 508-540-4172. Hanush Jewelers, downtown Falmouth, 508-548-9107. Mahoney's Garden Center, 508-548-4842. The Cape Cod 5 at 508-457-5252, capecod5.com. The Cooperative Bank of Cape Cod, 508-495-5010. Martha's Vineyard Savings Bank, 508-627-4266. VIPS of Falmouth Volunteers in Public Schools, 508-548-1621. Cape Cod Cleaning, 508-563-7622. Steve's Pizzeria and More, 508-457-9454. FCTV also thanks Roach Brothers, Stop and Shop, and Windfall Market.